Even though, according to research lately, saying that the cheapest place on the face of the earth to buy a car is actually the United States based on your actual income, Americans are still struggling and being crushed by auto loans as defaults and repossessions are surging. The numbers are actually quite stark. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans, and this is a major problem in the United States right now. Consumer groups are calling for congressional action as drivers are failing to keep up with the cost of running their cars. Repossessions are going crazy. And to give you some context on this, auto loan debt, car loan debt in America, in the United States, sits at $1.7 trillion. That's real, $1.7 trillion. Delinquencies, defaults, and repossessions are skyrocketing as a result. YouTube's new algorithm means that you're often not getting all of our videos in your feed. There's 7,500. I'm pretty sure you're probably not seeing a lot of them. In the description, there is a link to our newsletter. Click on that and you can get an update every day of all the latest news in the electric car industry. Subprime delinquency is worse than in the 2008 financial crisis. Many Americans, they love owning new cars, but some of them are finding out that that thrill doesn't last long and their household budgets are being pushed drastically to the point where they are right on the precipice. Auto loan delinquencies are spiraling out of control. The United States now, well, consumers owe 1.67 trillion US dollars in auto loans. And some figures show scary similarities to the period right before the 2008 financial crisis. That's according to a new report titled Driven to Default, the economy-wide risks of rising auto loan delinquencies from the Consumer Federation of America, called the CFA. It reveals that auto finance in the US is at a breaking point, and it criticizes Congress and the country's federal watchdogs for stepping back despite evidence showing they're needed more than ever to protect buyers from unscrupulous dealers who are basically saying to consumers come into a dealership, and a lot of these dealerships across the United States are saying, oh, don't worry, just put it all on finance. 60,000 US dollars, no problems, you'll pay that off, it'll be easy. And they're saying, oh, we'll give you a deal, you only have to pay a little bit per week. And people sign up and really it's beyond their capacity to pay the kind of loans that they're putting themselves in. And to be honest, we can't just blame dealers. People have to be responsible for their own actions. But honestly, a lot of people just aren't really capable of that. One of the reasons owners are struggling to keep their heads above water is the very high cost of monthly car payments, caused in part by high interest rates. Figures show the typical monthly payment is 745 US dollars. That's a lot of money. And 20% of buyers are saddled with monthly bills of at least 1,000 US dollars. Things are about to get a bit worse because the US EV tax credit will be eliminated. That's 7,500 US dollars. And here's the thing, it's not just subprime borrowers who are feeling under immense pressure. Car buyers with above average credit scores are twice as likely to fall behind on payments as they were before the pandemic. Twice as likely. Younger buyers are hitting the payment skids. Basically, younger buyers, their vehicles are being repossessed at extremely high rates. In fact, the highest of all age groups. And repossessions for younger buyers actually jumped by 43% between 2022 and 2024. Now you can see the numbers here. This is from Cox Automotive, showing you estimated auto loan default rates. These are the default rates, yeah? 2009, default rates were 4%, really high. We're talking, subprime crisis. The US was in major problems there. Have a look at the increase in numbers from 2021 to 2022 to 2023 to 2024. It's just going up, up, and up. And it's looking a little bit like that subprime era back in 2008, which is a big warning sign. The CFA warns that we should be concerned about more than a few cars getting repossessed because people haven't kept up with payments. It says Americans have a tendency to prioritize their car bills over other household and living expenses, meaning the delinquency rates are pointing to a much more widespread and significant problem across the US economy. In other words, people are paying their car, most of them are prioritizing on paying their car bills so they can keep their car at the expense of other things. And that is why this problem is actually worse than it appears. Now is the time for policymakers to take a hard look at the auto lending market to call out exploitative practices that raise prices and require our federal regulators to stop sleepwalking their way through the crisis while Americans suffer, says the organization. Now, to give you some ideas here, guys, on just how much Americans are paying for cars, the average transaction price in the US for a car this year is nearly 55,000 US dollars. That is quite a lot of money. The average transaction price for an EV is nearly 58,000 US dollars. Now, I think that's quite high. And it appears to me that people are buying, on average, higher priced cars in the United States, much higher priced cars than they are in other countries around the world. So the question is, regulations can sometimes stifle us, but do drivers really need lawmakers to intervene in this situation? Or is part of the solution simply about making different choices? I think, really, people shouldn't be getting these kinds of loans. I personally have never had a car loan. I've only ever bought my cars front up. That said, I've only ever bought 2 new cars in my entire life. And those were when I was older, over the age of 40 and above. But I honestly think young people should follow that rule. I don't think they need the cars that they think they need. Young people are the ones struggling the most with their auto loan repayments. And my suggestion to them would be, don't get a new car for 57,000 US dollars. Buy a second-hand one for 20,000. You can get a good car used on the used market for 20,000 US dollars. And that way you can pay cash with it. Save up your money. That's what I did. And maybe I'm just an old person trying to give advice to young people. Maybe young people are going to laugh at me and think that's bad advice. But then again, it's worked for me. What do you guys think? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Bye-bye. The Sydney EV International Motor Show. If you want to get a 50% discount on your tickets, all you got to do, click the link in the description and use the promotion code that's in the description. Just copy and paste that. Now, I should mention there's only 200 tickets available per day. So if you go to use the promo code and you can't get a ticket, wait till the next day. Don't wait until the day before the show to get your tickets, because otherwise you'll probably miss out on getting the 50% discount.